do have areas of police brutality. We do have these areas, but where is the church at? Why is the church not stepping in these areas instead of a BLM? You know what I mean?
I don't know where I'm praying. One of the things that I think is interesting is that if you listen to like the word on the street, like we were talking about earlier, and the word in the church, the Black church, a lot of times it's the same information. And I've started to wonder, is the church's information now seeping out into the street? And looking at things like James Cone and Black liberation theology, a lot of the Black liberation theology is mixed in with today's mainstream Black church information, sermons about white people and the whiteness or the white devil, and how we interact with white people, the message of oppression, the message of reconciliation, and when it is or is not possible. That's a lot of Black liberation theology that to me has come down through the years and still remains in the church today. One, two, looking at LA, you get a church on every corner.
Yeah.
Especially in South LA. And they have like 10 people in them. Or they're, boarded up and have no one, and, no one's going there. I don't know where many of the prominent Black pastors are in this. Yeah. Like in LA, you have West Angeles Church, you have Faithful Central, and there used to be another one, but I'm not even sure if that one's in existence anymore. But, growing up, or you had like Fred Price's church and things like that. But there were 3 or 4 prominent churches, but still it felt like, or it seems like those pastors dealt within their own church sphere, but I never saw them really out in the community. And maybe I missed it, but looking now, I don't see them out in the community. I don't see them, educating. I don't see them speaking out against Black abortion. I don't see them speaking out against Black welfare. I don't know where that conversation is. And even when we look, on a more national level, I still don't see Black leaders, who are pastors speaking into this area as having a distinct voice in biblical unity.
Yeah, like you said, it's a church on every corner. It seems like all the churches have different theological, different positions, and I think this is where we get to the area of theology, understanding how all these churches need to be connected theologically, and I think that would help the churches in these communities to be able to stand up and say, okay, we're going together to help this area of issue. And like you pointed out, the area of abortion, Margaret Sager, the thought, the mind behind Planned Parenthood, a racist eugenist who purposely put these abortion mills in lower income urban communities in order to eliminate Black people, specifically to eliminate Black people. And it would seem to me, and this is where we get into the understanding of like people seem to not be educated in these areas. And this is what frustrates me. This is what frustrates me the most, Monique, is that we'll have people stand up, hoop and holler, emotional and all, about police brutality. Okay? But then when we get to the area of talking about why is the Black community practically number one in abortions, they contribute, they're not even the highest amount of population-wide percentage. We're not even in the highest. And yet we contribute to pretty much the most abortions out of all the demographics.
Yes, we are the highest.
Yeah, where is the outcry of that? Where's the outcry?
I think that there is a narrative that many Black communities have bought into from leaders like BLM or movements like BLM that tells us what the issues are. And if you veer from that, then you get shunned. Nobody wants to be shunned. So, I'm going to jump on with police brutality. Of course, it's everywhere. Now, statistically, is that true? It's not everywhere. But you know what is everywhere? Abortion is everywhere.
Yeah.
We are what, 4 or 5, Black women make up 4 or 5% of or birthing Black women within the country of, birthing age within the country make up like maybe 4 or 5% of the population, but we are responsible for the majority of abortions.
Yeah.
Something like 30 to 40%, 35, 40%, something like that. Like, we are a huge contributor to abortions, and no one is highlighting that. And that should be coming from our pastors. That should be coming from the church. The church should be the one leading these conversations, because it's impacting our communities.
Yeah, definitely. And, that's why it's hard for me to take people serious. It's hard for me to take people when they come to me and say, Marlon, police brutality, racism is the number one thing we should be fighting against. I'm like, really? I mean, have you looked at the statistics? Have you looked at the numbers and see if that is the number one? And this is not me saying that racism doesn't happen. This is me saying that racism is probably not the most important thing to attack.